What's up guys, it's Kelly Shalal, registered dietitian and blogger behind the blog Hungry Hobby, and today I'm here with one of my most requested, most popular recipes ever. It is my savory oat flour bread. This oat flour bread is made without any other, no refined flour, no butter, no oil, and no refined sugar. It is, like I said, one of my most popular recipes on the blog. So if you're looking to make bread from oat flour, then stick around and I'll show you how to do it. But first, if you're watching on YouTube, please make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification so that you never miss a video. I upload new ones every week. Alright, so the very first thing you need to make this bread is oat flour. Now, you can purchase oat flour, but please don't. It's expensive to purchase and much cheaper to make. If you're watching on YouTube, I have a video, which I will put right there, and you can see all about how to make homemade oat flour. In that video, I make it in both the Vitamix and a food processor and show you the differences, and I also answer frequently asked questions. So if you need to find out how to make oat flour, it only takes 1 to 2 minutes to make, then head on over there and you can see how to make it. Otherwise, I'm going to assume that you just throw your oats into a blender or a food processor and you can handle making it. It takes about 1 to 2 minutes. You need about 3 cups oats, will yield 2.75 cups of oat flour, and that's what you need to get started with this recipe. Once you have your oat flour, it's pretty easy. You're gonna mix in some ground flax, baking soda, baking powder, a little salt, and mix all that up so that it's nice and evenly combined, and set that aside so we can get started with the wet ingredients. For the wet ingredients, you're gonna have any kind of milk. So you could use water, really. Any kind of liquid, water, milk, non-dairy milk. But I usually use vanilla almond milk. So you're gonna mix 1 cup of liquid, 1 cup of milk, eggs, honey. Now, this recipe is actually based off of the first recipe that I created, which was my honey oat flour bread. And I loved that recipe and it was super, super popular, but people kept asking me for a less sweet version. So I had hundreds of comments on my honey oat flour bread, and I will link that video below. But I tried a lot of them. I tried so many of the suggestions. So a lot of people did it themselves and gave suggestions and comments on the blog. So you can read through both the comments on the savory oat flour bread post and the honey oat flour bread post to kind of see what people have done. But when I tested all the suggestions, what I came up with is just 2 tablespoons of honey. Really helps the bread, the flavors come out in the bread. It really just tastes and texture-wise is just better with just a couple tablespoons of honey. Now that's significantly less than my honey oat flour bread. In my honey oat flour bread, there's a half a cup of honey, okay? So 2 tablespoons is nothing in a whole loaf of bread. But if you're looking for substitutions and you really don't want to use any honey, or if you want to use maple syrup, I've had people write in and say that that works, so you can do that. But if you don't want to, I would suggest that you head to the blog and check out the comments on those posts to see what people have tried, because there are so many things that people have wrote in about that they've tried and loved that I can't even list them all out here. So make sure that you head to the blog and look for substitutions on things like honey or vegan substitutions on this recipe. So that being said, we mix all that up. Then you're going to pour the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients and mix up the batter. Now here's the next part. Let it sit for 5 minutes. This is super important. The reason you want to let it sit for 5 minutes is because oats are super absorbent, and really to that end, flax is too. And we want to give it a chance to absorb before we throw it in the oven, okay? So while you're waiting for it to absorb, I'm going to talk to you about the types of pans you can use. The first thing is you're going to want some parchment paper, or you're going to cover your pan with parchment paper. And then spray it with some kind of oil. Doesn't matter what kind of oil. Coconut oil, butter, avocado oil, I don't care, olive oil, like whatever you got. Cooking spray, whatever. But let's talk about different types of pans. Because here, this is a 8x5 by 4.5 by 2.5 pan. So it's a little narrower and a little taller, okay? This pan doesn't have a thing on it. Oh yeah, this one's 9x5. So this one's a little wider, okay? And then this one is super old, and this is also 9x5, but a little less deep. Either way, so here's the thing. If you have a wider pan, like one of these, that is not as tall, the bread is going to be shallower, okay? And the slice is going to be thinner. Whereas if you have a taller pan, it's going to be taller and skinnier. So you have to decide how you want to eat this bread and how you want it to decide what kind of pan to use if you have multiples. If you only have one, use what you've got, okay? It also will change the baking a little bit. So once you pour your batter into the bread, into the pan, how long you bake it will depend a little bit on not only whether you're using glass or a pan. A short, wide metal pan will bake a little faster than a deep glass pan, okay? So use the guidelines in the printed recipe as a guideline, but you'll want to check it with a toothpick to make sure that the toothpick comes out clean so that you know it's done. Here's the other thing about this recipe. Once you're done baking it, for best possible results, you really want to keep it, let it cool totally, and try not to slice into it right away. In fact, if you can wait till tomorrow to eat it, it will be far less crumbly than if you dig into it right away. Again, oats are incredibly absorbent, so the process of heating them up and then letting them cool fully really helps this bread stick together and be more like a sandwich bread, something you could spread avocado on and make a sandwich out of. And yes, people have sent me all kinds of pictures of them making this recipe as muffins, as sandwich bread, as bagels, like literally everything. You guys have made this recipe and I'm just finally filming the video for it. So really think about how you want to use the bread, and that kind of can help you decide if you have multiple pans. Like if you want to use it more of a sandwich bread, I would go with the taller, skinnier pan because it's going to give you more of that like taller sandwich bread type look, I guess. I've had people send me pictures of them taking it as like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich hiking. I mean, if you follow the directions and you let it cool all the way even to the next day, then it absolutely will stick together and it won't crumble at all. If you're like me and you can't wait, it might crumble a little bit, but it's not going to be anything to worry about. Still going to be delicious. So I also have for this recipe, like I said, a honey oat version, I have a pumpkin version, and I also just published a oat flour banana bread version, okay? So if you're looking to make bread from oat flour, I've got you covered. I also have 15 other oat flour recipes that I'll link below, along with recently published oat flour waffles. So I'm super into cooking with oat flour. I have been since I started my blog 6 or 7 years ago. I really think it's a great flour to cook with, but you do have to develop recipes specifically for it. So if you try this, like I said, comment, let me know, and I'll love to see your photos. You can also tag me on Instagram at @hungryhobbyrd. I love to see photos of what you guys made. So please share with me, and make sure that if you're watching this on YouTube, you hit the subscribe button and the bell notifications so that you never miss a recipe video. So I'll see you guys next time, and I really hope that you enjoy this bread as much as we do because we absolutely love it. All right, guys, bye-bye.